Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
This program is sponsored in its entirety by the Southwest TV Translator Association. Special thanks goes to manager Wayne Johnson for his guidance and assistance. It is also supported by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network, as seen on DCTV Channel 32.1.
The News at Noon program is in the pilot stage, and we hope to bring a variety of news and commentary for the Four Corners region.
With all that said, I'm Kendra Cook, and my co-hosts are Kelsey Kiesling and Jerry Tope. Now for January 4th, 2016, here's the news. As reported at the end of December in the San Juan Record, there were 2 Spanish Valley residents that face a host of felony charges after they were arrested on December 17th with nearly 3 pounds of methamphetamine. George Greenhall, age 39, and Maria Greenhall, age 41, were arrested as the culmination of a 3-month investigation led by the San Juan County Drug Task Force. They are suspected of manufacturing and selling methamphetamine. Enough evidence and intelligence was gathered during this investigation that an arrest and search warrant was granted by a judge. The arrest was made with the assistance of the Grand County Sheriff's Office, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and the Utah Department of Corrections. George Greenhall will face federal charges, while Maria, his spouse, will be charged in the district court. Both face multiple felony counts. After the arrest, deputies and agents worked early into the morning, searching and collecting evidence from inside the Greenhall residence and their associated vehicles. Because of the large amount of methamphetamine collected while building the case, DEA agents got involved and built their own case. The street value of the methamphetamine and marijuana seized during the case is valued between $20,000 and $25,000. In addition, $4,000 in cash was also seized from one of the suspects. Law enforcement officials suspect that the pair was distributing the drug throughout the area.
According to the Journal, a 65-year-old man was arrested in Cortez on December 18th for making bomb threats to Telluride schools and the San Juan and San Miguel County Courthouse. Kevin Krawchuk, described by the San Miguel County Sheriff's Office as a transient, was taken into custody in Cortez, according to a Sheriff's Office media release. Krawchuk allegedly called a Department of Agriculture office in Denver and threatened to blow up public government buildings, and made general threats against children in Telluride schoolyards, according to the release. Telluride schools were placed on lockdown but later released when the suspect was in custody. The San Miguel courthouse was evacuated and closed for the day because of the threat. On Thursday, December 31st, he was being held in San Miguel County Jail on $10,000 bond.
In the Four Corners area, there's a robust relationship of federal land management and the various state interests and private property owners. Colorado is said to have over 35% being public lands, while other western states are dominated even further percentage-wise by federal ownership. The recent situation unfolding over the weekend in Oregon has at its core the conflict between a local judge's first-hand local decision and the breadth of the enforcement of the federal government. Caught in the headlines is a father and son who were convicted of arson on federal lands through a situation in which the Hammonds set fire that ended up getting out of control and spread onto land managed by the BLM. As reported on CPR, the 2001 blaze burned 139 acres of public land, according to court documents. The 2006 fire, for which only Stephen was convicted, burned another single acre of public land. Neither damaged structures or any other entities. What is drawing more attention and generating anxiety between some sectors of the public and the federal administration in this case is due to the judge's sentencing decision in 2012 and the Fed's appeal. Both parties have already fulfilled their original sentences and cooperated with the authorities. But in the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombings, a law was passed to assert a mandatory minimum punishment for arson committed against federal property of a hefty minimum 5 years, as written in the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act of 1996. So this is a case of a conflict between the U.S. District Judge Michael R. Hogan and the federal government in terms of the arson on land being perceived as a terrorist threat by the Fed's laws, versus the judge's assessment that the 5-year judgment would be too harsh given the circumstances. He was quoted to say, "It would not meet any idea I have of justice, proportionality. I am not supposed to use the word fairness in criminal law, but it would be a sentence which would shock the conscience to me." But since then, the federal government won an appeal in 2014 to mandate the longer term, which is why this case is back in front of the public. Hopefully cooler heads will prevail, but the concerns that are grabbing headlines involve the bigger looming question of how much large government involvement is welcomed in what others see to be local issues.
According to the Journal, if there were a local outbreak of a deadly infectious disease, how well can regional health and safety organizations control it? Regional counties and tribes plan to find out during a simulation, January 20th, of a pneumonic plague outbreak. In the 3-hour exercise, health officials and hospitals will be notified that members of a bike race traveling through Cortez to Durango have been infected with the highly contagious and deadly disease. Pneumonic plague has flu-like symptoms but leads to death if left untreated with medications, making it an ideal practice scenario. Local hospitals and clinics will be tested on how well they deal with an influx of patients and diagnose the problem. Health departments will make actual phone calls to secure proper medications needed to treat the disease and prevent its spread. Montezuma County's Emergency Operations Center at the Sheriff's Office will be put into action during the mock crisis. Agencies must work together to pass on critical information to each other, the public and caregivers. Logistics include organizing quarantines if necessary, treating victims, working with the media to inform the public, investigating the disease's origins, and determining who may have come into contact with infected persons so they can be treated. Other players include schools, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, hospice, clinics, and large venues where people congregate. The simulation is a run-up to a full-scale infectious disease simulation that will take place in June 2017 and will be statewide.
Montezuma County is considering a locally based project that would improve and expand internet service to rural areas, as recently announced in the Durango Herald. The county commissioners received a report wherein Information Technology Director Jim McLean said the plan would use a combination of fiber optic lines and wireless broadband. It would be in partnership with the county, City of Cortez, communication companies, internet service providers, and Empire Electric. Infrastructure for wireless broadband would be built first and requires installing strategically placed main towers and relay stations, which could potentially reach 70% of the county. They noted that for hard-to-reach areas like McElmo Canyon, expanding fiber optic lines along Empire Electric's poles would be ideal. McLean projected that the upgraded internet service using broadband wireless and fiber optic connections would be 200 times faster than what most rural customers presently experience. Estimated costs for the proposed upgrade range between $3 and $5 million installed within approximately 3 years. Preliminary meetings are being planned with everyone's input being welcomed. Fiber optic lines already stretch to Dove Creek, Mancos, Dolores, and Rico, but for some areas, like the West Fork and Stoner neighborhoods, more infrastructure would be required for residents to tap into the line. The vision for upgraded broadband service in the county would also improve cellular and emergency service communications.
According to the Journal, 3 years after Colorado voted to legalize recreational marijuana, little is known about whether the state's roads are less safe, and law enforcement efforts remain largely focused on alcohol, not pot. One glaring example, a Coloradan who pleads guilty to driving under the influence of marijuana is required to install a device on his car's ignition to measure the alcohol in his breath. From a lack of statistics to laws that haven't been updated to disagreements over how to measure whether a person is stoned, there is a lot to be discussed and learned about marijuana and driving. In Colorado, DUI laws don't distinguish between drivers who are drunk on booze, high on pot, or even reeling from oxycodone. Because Colorado was the first state to legalize recreational marijuana, it has been expected to be a leader in highway enforcement. But there is work to do here and around the country, multiple experts on impaired driving said. Washington's report shows an increase in the number of drivers involved in fatal crashes who tested positive for THC between 2010 and 2014. But it also notes that more information is needed to draw conclusions about the impact of legalized recreational marijuana in the state. The Colorado legislature has determined that the legal limit for impairment by marijuana is 5 nanograms of THC in the blood. But that limit is a presumption only. unlike the blood alcohol limit that affirms a driver is drunk if their blood alcohol concentration is more than 0.08%.
This evening for our Dolores County area, the chance of snow is rated at 40%, but the high for today and tomorrow expected to reach upper 30s and lows in lower 20s Thursday through Saturday. Highs in the lower middle 30s with lows from the middle lower teens to the single digit temperatures Saturday night. Multiple storms have begun to arrive in the west coast. Each system will bring moisture from the Pacific into the west coast, producing rain along the coast from Washington State to Southern California this morning. In addition, rain and high elevation snow will develop over the interior part of the Pacific Northwest and parts of the northern Intermountain region through Tuesday evening. Tonight, the chance of snow increases to 50% and returns to 40% tomorrow during the day, and 50% Tuesday night, 60 Wednesday, and Wednesday night with a decrease Thursday to 40% and declining further to just slight chances Friday night. Accumulations are expected to be less than 1 inch today, with 1 to 3 tomorrow, and 3 to 5 Wednesday and Thursday with less than 1 inch Friday. Rain and freezing snow over the Columbia River Gorge will come to an end by Tuesday as the precipitation changes overall to rain. As the moisture and energy move inland, rain and higher elevation snow are expected to develop over the Sierras and move into the Southwest Great Basin. In fact, they're already there. Tomorrow, Tuesday, the rain and higher elevation snow will move into parts of the southern Central Rockies and stay in the Great Basin as well. Additionally, as energy from the Pacific moves over the Rockies, moisture from the western Gulf of Mexico will begin to move northward over the southern plains, aiding the development of rain over parts of the southern high plains by Tuesday evening. The front over the Great Lakes to the mid-Atlantic will move southeastward into the Carolinas and southern Ohio Valley and dissipate overnight and tonight. The energy associated with the boundary will aid in producing lake effect and lake-enhanced snow downwind from the Great Lakes through Monday night when the upper region moves into the Great Lakes. Elsewhere, an old front near southern Florida slowly moves southeastward away from Florida. Rain associated with the boundary will likewise slowly end over southern Florida on Monday afternoon. By Tuesday, easterly flow from the Atlantic will return to the east coast of Florida, producing scattered rains over the area through Tuesday evening.
According to the Journal, in addition to a voter-approved sales tax, proceeds from energy and mineral production will also help fund a $14.2 million capital improvement project at Southwest Memorial Hospital. Announced on Monday, a hospital spokesperson said the $2 million Department of Local Affairs and Energy for Energy and Mineral Impact Grant was awarded to the Montezuma County Hospital District. The grant will assist in the construction of a state-of-the-art inpatient wing at the 25-bed Critical Access Hospital on Mildred Road, as well as an ambulance garage with conference space and rooming quarters for EMS staff. The grant was awarded based on a variety of factors such as its connection to energy impact, degree of need, measurable outcomes, amount of request, relationship to community goals, level of local match, community support, management capacity, and readiness to go, hospital spokesperson Haley Leonard stated in news release. Funding for the Energy and Mineral Impact Assistance Program comes from the state severance tax on energy and mineral production and from a portion of the state's share of royalties paid to the federal government for mining and drilling of minerals and mineral fuels on federal land. In November, county voters approved the hospital district's request for a limited sales and use tax by a 3-2 margin to overhaul the 40-year-old medical facility. Construction on the 3-year project is expected to start on March. Throughout the sales tax campaign initiative, officials emphasized that the expansion and facilities upgrade was crucial to modernizing the county's healthcare infrastructure. The 0.4% tax, 4 cents per every $10, would be applied to money spent in Montezuma County, but would exclude certain items like most food purchased in grocery stores, prescription drugs, residential utilities, and licensed farm equipment.
There's a new question being proposed to the Colorado legislature this year. Is it possible to hold oil and gas drillers liable for any earthquakes they cause? As reported on CPR, the U.S. Geological Survey has tied some earthquakes in Colorado and 7 other states to the energy sector, mostly from injecting wastewater deep underground, but also a few causes from hydraulic fracturing. Democratic State Representative Joe Salazar wants to hold drillers responsible for any earthquakes they trigger that cause property damage or physical injury. He says residents in his Adams County district are worried about a fracking group's plans to place 20 oil and gas wells in neighborhoods there. Meanwhile, State Senator Ray Scott, a Republican from Grand Junction, says liability would be difficult to prove. He also says that Colorado already has strict environmental guidelines, and he cautions against targeting an industry that provides a great deal of revenue to the state. Certainly, the balance between the economic input of the oil and gas industry in the state of Colorado and the desire to protect the living conditions of its residents is something that continues to raise concerns across both sides of the political debate.
According to the Journal, a series of winter storms that dumped up to 6 feet of snow over 4 days in the San Juan Mountains led to several road closures in the region, but receiving up-to-date information of those closures proved difficult during the blizzard. The Colorado Department of Transportation maintains several alert systems to give drivers timely updates on road conditions and closures throughout the state, including a travel information phone number 511, electric signs on the side of the road, a website with real-time information, and email, text, and social media notifications. But coordinating all the systems can be tricky, said CDOT spokeswoman Nancy Shanks. With a big storm, breakdowns in communications can occur, and travelers sometimes receive unclear or contradictory information, she said. Last week's storms led to several intermittent closures on Coalbank and Mullis Passes between Durango and Silverton, as well as Red Mountain Pass between Silverton and Ouray. On average, 2,300 vehicles travel over Red Mountain Pass daily, but that number is far lower during the winter months. A roadside sign near Durango said Coalbank and Mullis Passes were open Christmas night, but a webcam image showed traffic stopped at the base of Coalbank Pass. Similarly, Coalbank and Mullis Passes were closed briefly Sunday morning while the agency did avalanche blasting. But the passes were never considered closed. Rather, traffic was stopped briefly to allow avalanche work.
Today, Monday, is the final day to register to vote for La Plata County residents who wish to cast a ballot in their party's caucuses for Colorado Democratic and Republican caucuses for all counties in the primary caucus will be held on March 1st. So January 4th marks the last day to affiliate with a party in order to vote for a presidential hopeful. La Plata County residents can register to vote at the county clerk and recorder's office in Durango, any state office, including the driver's license office, or online at www.govotecolorado.com. You want to locate your county's registration office to be sure to beat the deadline.
That's it for today's show. Again, thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon and rebroadcasted at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1, Dolores County, on Channel 30.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
You can also re-watch the broadcasts on YouTube at the DCTV News at Noon channel. Be sure to contact us with your news suggestions, and all feedback is welcome.
For Kent Jercook, Jerry Tope, and all those working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. See you next time.